Hey folks, if you have a business idea and have been limited in the past by developing a functional MVP and or full build, today we live in a world where you could use various AI tools to generate full functional apps. And we're going to be reviewing these prompt to app builders. I have 5 of them that we're going to be reviewing today. 4 of them are pretty mainstream, and I just found a new one that we're going to be reviewing. So let's start with an intro to the apps. I think Replit is the only one, in my opinion, that kind of illustrates, what this whole industry is about, having, several agent type models, AIs building apps, purposes of why you want to do it, founders using it, how to like vibe code and stuff of that nature. Once we check on all the other apps such as V0, Lovable, they kind of just have this, and from my opinion, marketing standpoint of just having a streamlined approach to getting you to build the app, which is simply just put in the prompt and then it builds, which I think is a fine approach, depending on where you are in the space. Um, for people like needing to understand what the area is, Replit kind of does that, and then the rest of them kind of just go into basically funneling you. I will say that Kilm has is a newcomer in the space, as you can see there from that YouTube. There's an 827 launch, which is at the time of this video almost 3 weeks ago being built, and they focus on kind of these highlights from their marketing perspective. So let's just take a look at the methodology, which was simply to kind of rebuild this app or this prompt, this idea of what I've seen. Obviously, if you follow my channel, you know that I have a kid and I use a baby tracker app. I was thinking like, oh, why isn't there like an easy to use adult tracking app that kind of has good functionality, good UI, stuff of that nature? Because for example, I need to remember when to change my car, when to change the refrigerator, water, stuff of that. So yeah, I just put this app into all of them, and what I'm showcasing here is Replit's build, and we'll get into the finalized build app. So kind of this video isn't going to go into like the time for app builds because I think if you're getting into this space, they all build quite fairly well. I will say that this uses the new Agent 3 kind of builder, which, based on the marketing, I'm not exactly sure what that means from the back end. I know a lot of these are just wrappers, perhaps of maybe Claude or Gemini, but actually seeing what the final build is, I actually enjoyed this. Obviously in this video you can see for yourselves what the other ones were, but this one has a great UI. You could add tasks that get built on this kind of big buttons UI, which is what I wanted in the prompt. Then I have this nice functionality of kind of seeing what it would be like from a mobile perspective. So per whatever your use case is, whether you actually want to build this app or you're trying to get an MVP for funding. Obviously, for people who don't know, I used to be in the space of running a marketing agency, helping companies grow. I've of course pivoted this channel to be about gaming laptops, but I'm trying to pivot back, or perhaps make a new channel. So leave a comment below. If you're interested in this content, I'll keep posting it here in this channel, or I could just make a new one. But going to, V0, as you've seen, most of these, just once you put in the prompt, they have a left side panel which showcases what the AI output is. You could see here actually, and if you looked at the previous one from Replit, the functions that are available to do, you could download it, run this in your console, stuff of that nature. So this is V0 from Vercel. They showcase what the app is. I was actually surprised later in this thing, you could showcase what the actual code was, which was very minimal. But you can see here, this kind of was a one shot. It's okay, not to my liking. I actually preferred Replit and how it had those big, edits. They do have this idea of changing, system logos, or not. This one doesn't even have logos, actually, like system colors, going to dark mode, stuff of that nature, which I think is a nice feature to have. Additionally, it seems that V0 offers areas to go to Figma and stuff of that nature. So here, when you go into the code, you can actually see it's only 3 pieces of code, so all in one thing. Depending if you have a coding background, I've synced with some of my friends who are software engineers. They say that a lot of times you want to build functionality out in various code bases. I don't have that background, so take it with a grain of salt. What I'm saying, it might. I have been using Cursor, and I found that when I break it down, and kind of into small components, it does have a better chance doing that there. So obviously, I don't know what people's use cases are. This is just a broad video. Here in the Lovable, you know, very similar UI, um, kind of okay. Again, going back to Replit, I really enjoyed that. It was the full button. This one kind of has like a website approach, um, and kind of looking at what's available to do. This is kind of showcasing, at least the functionality of making a task tracker is working. They also do have opening in a full preview mode, which I think thought was nice. So all this functionality, uh, they also have the responsiveness. And then here, if you look at the code, we can see actually a lot of different files to kind of maintain. Obviously, if you put this out to Cursor, um, I'm not exactly sure how Lovable has it that you can edit your own code. We'll talk about that in the last new one in Kiom, how they have built out to GitHub, which makes it easy to actually develop. And lastly, Bolt New. Again, you can see everything compared to Replit. They have a similar type of build, which is just like a big box with a button. Yeah, I found that Replit in my use case, what I was looking for, kind of one-shotted it the best, which was the full button UI and then even going to responsive mode. Um, because I guess my use case is using it from a phone. And if this becomes an app, gets used on the website. So kind of just showcasing, um, if you are in this space where you need apps developed, you have this code that you need, maybe you're looking to get an MVP out or something of that nature. I think this plays a space where what I saw in my history when I went to college at Georgia Tech was a lot of people had ideas for building iOS, Android apps, but they were limited by getting developers. Now we live in a world where we can kind of have these services leverage AI along with other wrappers that they may use to kind of create these functional MVPs. Depending on the space you play, you could get more funding or like try to learn Cursor to do it yourself, or build from it. Um, so yeah, this is a newcomer in the space outside my soapbox here. Kiom, as I mentioned, they seem to have launched 827. They are building, from what I've seen, building the app. They seem to be more dev focused. You can see here after you run it for a while that it seems there's some UI issues that could obviously be fixed with Cursor, but in terms of like a one shot, they seem to develop the full actual website instead of just the functionality. So here we see like login registers, stuff of that nature. Seems that their coder needs some work. I think they have a team that's still working and developing on this. They also allow for sync with GitHub and deployment. So you can see there in the GitHub button, um, if you just are connected to GitHub and log in, you can just go to your GitHub and the repo is going to be there. So then you can obviously clone it, give it to your devs, or put it in Cursor. Here, this version had some nice UI functionality, but again, it seems like this is more function towards the full website build, which, depending on what you're looking for, actually could be more viable for people, to have the login, the testing, the APIs set up. Whereas even Replit, even though I preferred its UI to the app, it didn't seem to like build the full website around it. So definitely something to check out. All these have free trials, so you can check it out yourselves. I couldn't get the deploy working, but here I clicked the button and showcased that the whole UI was working. So yeah, um, definitely a newcomer in the space to check out. So that's my high level take. I know that my audience has been from the gaming laptops, but I think going back into productivity, how to use your MacBook, how to be productive and building into the space, I think could help people. Whether or not I continue on this channel, let me know in the comments below. I'll see obviously how the algo does. They recommend not doing this, but I did find interest in this space as I've been building out, kind of in the AI, learning it for my career. And I think some of these things could help people at least build MVPs or work towards that process. Leave some comments below. Love to see if you guys have been in this space or using these apps, or perhaps if you want to check out QM, go to their website. Let me know what you think of them. They obviously all have free trials. So yeah, let me know what people are using and if this is, even the same audience that I want to target. See you guys in the next video. Peace.